In just the last hour, a California doctor pleading guilty in court to charges related to the overdose death of Matthew Perry. This 54-year-old is charged with conspiring to distribute ketamine. Now, that's the drug tied to Perry's fatal overdose. This individual, Mark Chavez, signed a deal back in August. He is now the third person to plead guilty in the aftermath of Perry's death last October. Liz Kreutz is joining us now. And Liz, help us understand kind of the connections, if you will, that prosecutors are now trying to make to the so-called ketamine queen, who made a lot of headlines, obviously, after the news of Matthew Perry's death.
Yeah, Hallie. So, I mean, there's 5 people that have been charged in connection with the death of Matthew Perry. Mark Chavez, who here took a plea deal today in Los Angeles in federal court, admitted to conspiring to get ketamine to Matthew Perry. He is now one of 3 people charged, as you're looking at them here, who have taken a plea deal and admitted guilt. 2 of them are expected to face trial in March. That is the Los Angeles doctor, Dr. Salvador Plasencia, and then, as you mentioned, Hallie, the so-called ketamine queen, Javsveen Sangha. Now, I did speak to her attorney today. He says that that's a completely false and inaccurate nickname for her and denies that she even was supplying people with ketamine, and says it's going to be hard for anyone in trial to determine that Matthew Perry died as a result of ketamine she provided, although we do know that the medical examiner's office said Perry did die from the acute effects of ketamine. As far as what happened today, Hallie, Mark Chavez, he is now pleading guilty, and he could potentially now be working with the prosecution as part of this plea deal, and he could potentially stand as a witness at trial come March when those 2 others take the stand.
What about, talk about the role that Chavez played in Perry's death, according to prosecutors, and what are the penalties here now that he is pleading guilty?
Yeah, so as far as what he could face, his sentencing, we learned today, is scheduled for April, and this is still a really serious federal charge that he's admitted to, and he could serve up to 10 years in prison and a $500,000 fine. He could get less. That's the maximum there. As far as his connection, Hallie, he's really tied through Dr. Salvador Plasencia, not so much the so-called ketamine queen. And what prosecutors allege, and he's now admitted to, is that he supplied ketamine to that Los Angeles doctor, who then in turn supplied it to Matthew Perry, and that Chavez actually did it in ways like fraudulently submitting a prescription for ketamine using another patient's initials without that patient knowing in order to get that ketamine. And there's text messages, we're showing them here, between Chavez and the Los Angeles doctor, where Chavez says, if today goes well, we may have repeat business. Let's do everything we can to make it happen. And then there's other text messages from Plasencia where he says about Matthew Perry, I wonder how much this moron will pay. Let's find out. So some pretty upsetting and sad text messages there between them.
Liz Kreutz, thank you very much for that update.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.